Right, hello everyone, and welcome. Christelle, can you just confirm that you can hear me? And then I'll crack on. Christelle, can you hear me? I can't hear you, that's a thumbs up. Okay, great, let's minimize that. Let's crack on. Welcome everyone to my Google Ads Optimisation Zoominar. And it is basically showing you what I do in my client accounts, Google Ads accounts, to make them generate more traffic, more visitors for the same or less spend. It's what produces good results for my clients. I want to show you what I do and answer any questions and do some live reviews for you so you can see where you can make improvements, make things work better for you. So without further ado, let's crack on. Let me just check I am recording, which I am. Good. So what we're going to cover is why bother with Google Ads? Why does it work so well? Does it work so well? Why does it work so well? Yes, it absolutely does. Why should you listen to me? Many people would say don't, but hopefully you will think there's some value in what I add. And I suppose the most important thing is I've had people that I've worked with managing their Google Ads since I started offering it as a service in about 2008, but I've been running Google Ads since 2004. Why you should optimize, common mistakes that I see 9 times out of 10 inside Google Ads, live reviews of Google Ads and websites. And I'm also going to show you how, if you would like to, you can obtain your own Google Ads one-on-one review with me at a later date. So I will share that with you. So why Google Ads? Well, primarily I'm a marketing man. And there's 2 types of marketing, and they're not created equal, and they aren't fair if you're not one of the good ones. In that the introduction marketing just doesn't work so well, costs you a lot more, you need a lot more eyeballs, and it gets you worse results. So introduction marketing would be anything where the person doing what they're doing is not looking for your legal services. So that would be reading a newspaper, see an ad from you, going on Facebook, see an ad from you, go on Twitter, see an ad from you. Television advertising is all introduction marketing, because the majority of people seeing that ad don't want it, aren't interested in it. If they are interested in it, it's a vague interest. They might click through to what you have to offer, but they invariably won't buy. And I know lots of people in all sorts of different sectors, not legal, but they know they spend on Google Ads, but they know it doesn't convert as well as Google Ads. So they have to spend more eyeballs, more people that don't enjoy what they're seeing, more hassle. And I've always been an easy life marketing man. I want my life to be easy. I don't want to make it hard. I want to do the stuff that works and works consistently and works for the right reasons. And that's where Google Ads comes in, because people only see your Google ad if they are looking for the services that you provide. They won't see it if they're looking at a rabbit dancing on Facebook. They won't see it if they're watching anything on TV. They will only see it when someone goes to Google, types in your service, followed by your title solicitor, followed by where you are maybe. That's when they will see your advertisement. And that's why Google Ads works so well. It's pure attraction marketing. It's pure people only find you at the time they're looking for you. And the important thing with that is they've got buyer intent. They've gone looking for you in the first place, which means they're very keen to find out more about how you can help them. So that's why Google Ads work so well. Attraction marketing, buyer intent is the key thing, and some people don't really sort of get that, but buyer intent is crucial. They make the decision before going to Google, they want your legal services. So fantastic. If you get it right, you get a fantastic return on investment. I always look for, say, your starting point 3 to 1. If you sell a recurring service, then obviously as long as you break even in the first months 2, 3, 4, you're in profit. So that's a lovely position to be in. If you're selling, for example, a sort of HR, employment advice, recurring revenue, you can break even month 1 or even lose, but you'll come even month 2, 3, 4. It is pure easy life marketing. People find you 24/7, go to your website. If you get that right, which is a key part of it, they get in touch with you, you have a new client. And it works while you work, sleep and play. So there really is, and that's why a lot of my clients do Google Ads, because it doesn't need their intake, especially if they've got me managing it. It doesn't need their input 24/7. They can set it up, let me get on with it, and the phone rings. And that's obviously what they're interested in, and rightly so. Why me? Well, the key thing I think always with something like this is I spend my own money on Google Ads. I spend money now. I've spent money in the past substantially when I've launched different legal services businesses. So I'm not just talking to you from a hypothetical position of this might work. It's from a position of I've spent money doing it. It's worked. I now manage spend for my clients. That works. And the key point is, and I've only realized this over time, is I've taken over so many campaigns from other Google Ads agencies, some specialist legal marketing agencies, some general Google Ads agencies. And I wondered why they didn't do the things that I do. And it's not to say I'm a genius, because I'm certainly not. And you'll look at some of the things I say and I say, well, that's obvious, Nick. It's obvious, but most of the time it's not being done. And the main reason is I think Google Ads is obviously a technology platform, but it's very intertwined with marketing. Most Google Ads companies are technology based or web based. So they start off as web companies, then they start doing Google Ads and SEO, but they come from a position of tech. My position has always been easy life marketing, get clients finding me when they need me. And that's why I look at the whole picture of Google Ads, not just make the Google Ads work, but the entire journey from the client, from before seeing your site to on your website, to clicking your ad, to getting onto your site and picking up the phone with you. And all of those parts have to be considered for you to get a Google Ads campaign working really, really well. And that's what I love. Why Optimise? Just because it will get you more money, really. More clients, more profits, more clicks, more inquiries. And if you work on your conversions, more clients, more billing, and just works treat. And that, if you're running Google Ads now, either yourself or with a Google Ads agency that doesn't take into account all the things I cover now, why, and make sure either they do or hop on a one-on-one call with me and let me talk you through what I do to your campaign to make it work better. But take note of what's here. You don't have to instruct me. You're getting the value of what I will do, but just question your company as to why they don't do some of the things that we're going to cover. So the interesting thing for me is people always say, right, get on with the Google Ads, let's go. And I say, well, Google Ads up and running. We're getting traffic already. We sort of do the things together pretty much, but the order of process, if you couldn't do them all instantly, would be get the website landing pages working better, get your conversion processes working better, and then get your Google Ads working better, because your website is such a key part of the process, which is why I am always staggered when I take over a campaign and no attention has been paid to the website landing pages, or a cursory glance said, yeah, that'll do, because by and large it won't do. The website has to be absolutely right. So I'm going to do some live website reviews. I decided it would be a great idea for me to create some dummy law firm websites yesterday as I was finishing my preparation. So I created 2 websites. So they are by no means perfect. But before I move on to live solicitor sites, it will allow me to at least show you some of the common errors I see and to make sure you're not making them. So let me dive over to, I've always loved the idea of a law firm called Smithers Jones after the Jam song. I like the tune. So hopefully you'll notice this is my bad idea of a website, but if you think I've exaggerated any points, I haven't. This is probably the best bad looking site I've seen of many law firm sites that I've reviewed. So firstly, I want to know, and I work through here in Marketing Solicitors, my service where I train you how to do your own marketing. There's a blueprint which I've just released, which basically just takes you through what I'm going to do: website optimization, email marketing optimization, and of course Google Ads. So I just follow this through, but I do it automatically. But obviously, I wanted my clients to be able to do it without me, so I created a checklist that they can work through. So first thing I always say is, I want to land on your site and I want to know where I am and what you do, who I'm on and what you do. And Smithers Jones Law, just about see that. I've seen much smaller logos, but doesn't say what I do, doesn't say that we're solicitors. So that isn't a great start. The other thing I will always bang on about is pictures don't sell legal services, words do. And designers love pictures because, legal services aren't very exciting. Pictures are better, and there always need to be sheep in these lovely sceneries. So there you go, big sheep. But the thing you want from your Google Ads campaign is, if I see your ad and I click on it, I want to land on a page that instantly tells me I'm in the right place, I know what you do, and here's the headline that says away we go. And what I don't want to see is that we're not secure, which is why I put that in there, because many sites still are not secure, which is just not acceptable, because this is sort of 2 years since everyone should have been HTTPS. If you're seeing that sign, it means probably half the visitors to your site aren't getting to your site, and that's not something you want to be happening. The other thing I'd say, which I'm still seeing a lot of, it's nearly 2 years on. It may or may not be coming to its end, but I don't expect to see a sign telling me that I can't come into your office. You're dealing with COVID. You're working from home. Don't care. I'm the client. I expect you to be able to give me a legal service. So you shouldn't be having a notice like this anymore. That time has gone. What you should be doing is talking to me and explaining how you can help me, not talking about yourself and when you are formed. And then you certainly shouldn't be saying, just call us without any hyperlinked call to actions. If that's slightly better, let's try and move on to a live one, then at least you can see who we are, where we are, what we do, get to some imagery, get some content, and talk about you. Are you looking for solicitors? Looking for lawyers to help? There's a Smithers Jones team. Obviously, it's not, because this firm doesn't exist. That's the best one I could find. And then most importantly, talking call to action, which is if you talk to me here, then don't just suddenly give me a box that says call us. Talk to me like a human, as you would do in a conversation one-on-one. Nick, if you'd like to find out more about our services, please call us on this number, hyperlinked, you can see it's underlined, or complete a free online inquiry. And you might say, as people often do to me when I point this out, well, I've got a free inquiry form on the right-hand side. You just tell them to fill that in. You can't allow anyone to go off and make their own decisions, because if they're on a mobile, they won't be seeing this right-hand side. So you have to actually say, no, look, click here, fill in a free online inquiry. Let's have a review from a happy client. Click through and away I go. And it's not on the contact us page, because that confuses people, because now I've got addresses and all sorts on there. It's just a form to fill in and send, and that's all I do, no distractions. So that's really important. If I go back here, then the range of services, the home page on a site is not where you should be sending people from your Google Ads campaign. That's really important. You should be sending them to the page that they're looking for, and I'll cover that in detail in the live Google Ads review I'm going to do for you shortly. But the homepage, if I do get here, you've got to send me off to the services pages that I'm looking for. Alphabetical, wills and probate, not a one, because to the public they're not one. To lawyers they might be, but to the public looking for a probate solicitor or a will solicitor, probate won't ever type wills and probate. That's just a legal thing. So they can be on the same page, but they shouldn't be, because you give yourself less chance of Google sending you free traffic. And then the talking call to action I talk about, not a box. And each time I put it, follow it by a review, even though they're on the right, because the client won't see that on a mobile, and they're reading this content. They're not skip reading between columns in different positions. They're reading down. Now let's move on to a live one, and this, Amy is on the call, saw you earlier. Hello, Amy. Thank you for sharing this. So Amy is running a live Google Ads campaign, and these are two of the pages that she's linking to. So I would say, do I know where I am, what you do? Your franchise matters, so I know we're in the right place. I just make that bigger, and maybe your name bigger, clearer, or repeat it in text below, just in copy below, just so that I know exactly where I am. But your franchise matters, great. Should we say we're franchise solicitors? Probably it would, because solicitors is such a strong term. So if we are solicitors, I'd be saying your franchise matters, specialist franchise solicitors maybe. So that's crucial. We have got an image, it's not too big. As I said already, I'm not a massive fan of massive images, but no sheep, so that's good. And most importantly, I know where I am, franchise disputes, and cleverly, Amy's repeated franchise disputes on the content here, because some people, I'd be one of these, would not see that top heading. They'll just glance straight down to the content. because I've typed into Google, remember my journey. I've typed in franchise disputes. I've seen an ad that hopefully says franchise disputes. I've clicked on that ad that says franchise disputes. I've landed on this site. So, right, where do I go now? Let's read the rest of this page. So we've got Amy's name, and we've got Amy mentioned here. I'd be inclined to get the picture of Amy on here to make it more personal. And I'd probably start by talking about the client. So this one moving up, because at first I want this all to be about me, because I'm a selfish client and I've got an urgent need. I've got a franchise dispute, and I want Amy's help, but I want to be talked to as me. And then I'll talk on to how Amy can help me. And in my optimization sheet, there's a content precedent guide that takes you through this process. But yeah, so talk about me first, then bring in Amy's picture, break up the copy, and then I will always go on especially a Google Ads campaign, bearing in mind we're just trying to make the phone ring here and get more clients, straight to an early call to action. Amy will usually agree for your opinion on your case. However, all initial inquiries are completely free of charge. call us on this number or complete a free online inquiry. And don't use the word form because people hate filling in forms. They will fill it in, but they don't want to see the word form. Link through to that inquiry form page separately, and then follow it with the review. Then we have some more content. We've got an image to break it up here. And then again, we've got bullet points without the points in front of it, but we haven't done talking call to action. So the reason this is so important, and people are say, yeah, okay, I get that, I might do that. I might do it. It's so important. I've had clients that just put a talking call to action, make a free inquiry, call us on this number or complete a free online inquiry, have gone from 0 inquiries a day to 5 inquiries a day with nothing else changing. It is so important. And yet, despite banging on about this in my book, despite banging about it on all these calls I have, and with many of my marketing for solicitors members who have been paying me for this advice for years, they still don't do it on every page. And it's such a shame because it just means more inquiries, more clients, more profits for a 2-minute change. And if you can't change your website in 2 minutes, not to Amy, to generally, then change your web developer, because it's so, with Google Ads particularly, you're spending money on traffic. You cannot wait 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 months for a simple change to your website like this. It should be done in seconds. If you can't do that, then change a provider or change a platform, get onto WordPress. Not a fan of Wix, it's not quite so easy to use. But yeah, that talking call to action and sewing in reviews. And you might say, well, there's a review page up here. I'm sure there is somewhere. You can go off and find it, but clients won't. You must remember, people will look at 1 or 2 pages on your site, having clicked through from Google Ad. That's all you've got to tell them. So don't make them work. You do the work, sew in the reviews, sew in the calls to action on every page. Let's have a look at Amy's other page, franchise agreement reviews. And again, start talking about the client. Tell me how to get in touch with you. And so in an early call to action, call me on this number, make a free inquiry, and follow it by a review, and then we carry on. And then again, repeat that call to action. This as a Google Ads page, that will work. Adding the call to action and reviews will make a massive difference to that performance, Amy. So I thoroughly recommend that you take those simple changes. Reviews, calls to action are the biggest thing, and more content. Perhaps some case studies thrown in there of what the results you've had on a franchise agreement review. One client, and you can anonymize these if you don't have permission. One client was stuck with this, gave them a review, told them to go back, negotiated a better deal over the course of their agreement. It will save them £10,000 a year or whatever it might be. But the more specific you can be, the more you want your clients, having clicked through from franchise agreement review solicitor, landing on this page to go, oh, I want that. I'd like to save 10,000 a year. So the more you can sell your expertise and make it easy for them to get in touch, the more results you will get. So there's your website landing page reviews, and obviously I'm going to spend more time on the Google Ads bits, including website reviews. But the reason they're first, as I say, is because they can make a dramatic difference to the performance of your campaign. For my clients, I work through them. Often I'll make changes, or my team will make changes, because I know just how important that is. And it staggers me when I take over campaigns from other Google Ads companies that they haven't done anything about that. So yeah, really important stuff. Make sure your landing page is fit for purpose. Next, conversion. And often I'm told, yeah, we're really good at converting, Nick. And I say, oh, okay, tell me more about that. And when we look at the numbers, which I'll come on to in a bit, I say, well, actually, your conversion rates were 15%. 100 inquiries, you'll convert 15. It should be more like 50 for a niche service. Some of my clients convert at 90% for cold traffic to a website, to a phone call, to a client. So the conversion process is massive. So I'm just going to touch on this before we move on to the Google Ads, and point out the biggest mistakes I see, of which there are many, sadly, and I see them all the time. Not answering the telephone quickly enough or at all. Think about the user's journey. They've found your website. They've seen your ad. They've clicked on it. They found your website. If you get them to the point that they pick up the telephone, then the last thing you want to do is scare them off by not getting to answer that telephone quickly enough. This is the first touching point with your firm. If the phone isn't answered quickly or at all, which happens, because I do a lot of ringing around, they're gone. That money you spent on that client, and often I've worked out it's about £50 at least to make the phone ring. So if you don't answer it quickly enough, that £50 is gone. That leaking bucket is spilling your money all over the pavement. You've lost a client opportunity. Secondly, if you manage to speak to Rottweiler receptionist, male or female, Taking a message for a callback, you've lost them 9 times out of 10 because they want help now. They're on the internet. They're not just browsing. They need a service. They need it now. They won't wait for the callback. While they're waiting 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, guess what? They're on to the next person in the search results, next Google ad, click, phone, speak, gone. So it amazes me when people are spending money on Google ads and their phone system isn't working properly. If the receptionist tries to transfer to a Fiona's in the middle of something. I used to be a Fiona. I understand that sometimes you've got to work on matters, in which case set up a rota if your Fionas are doing these calls and make them instantly available. It will dramatically transform your profitability. So if Fiona says, oh, I'm not taking that now, just let it ring out, go to my voicemail, gone, £50 lost again. No meaningful conversation. I spend a lot of time working on this. I've written about it in the book. It's a whole blueprint in marketing for solicitors. And it is getting to the nitty gritty of what matters to the client and what is important to them. And as I say, it's the whole journey of client, Google ad, website conversion that makes a campaign sing. So it transforms the profitability of campaigns. So you cannot be talking about price or how you work with the client until you found out what matters to them about this transaction. And then the important bit, you tie that up to what that means, how you work with them to make them get a better result based on what their needs are. And how you've done that before for someone. Oh, look, Nick, you were in that position. I had a client just like that. And this is what we did. And we got a great result. They were so happy. And I'd love to do the same for you. And then the final thing, making it hard to instruct you, not sort of telling someone what to do next. I've been through a conveyancing process myself recently. If I hadn't been recommended to them and I wasn't desperate for someone to do what I needed quickly, there's no way they'd have got my instruction, because they didn't even say what I had to do. They just sent loads of forms for me to trail through and fill in. And as a former solicitor, I can tell you, as soon as someone sends me a form, that email goes to the bottom of my tray. I cannot be bothered to fill it in. I've spent my life filling in forms and I'm not interested anymore. But I had to do it on this occasion, but there's no way I'd have instructed them otherwise. So make it easy to say yes to you. Don't put an obstacle in the way of the yes. Make it easy for me to just say, if you'd like us to get on with this, Nick, for you, hit reply, press yes. Yes. And then you can send me the forms. Better still, if there are lots of forms, say, what would be easiest for you, Nick? Do you want to fill in these forms, or shall I make a telephone appointment to go through them with you and help you fill them in? Make it easy for me to give you my money. And very few do that. Once you've done all that, and made it easy to instruct me. If I don't, then you must be following up, especially if you're spending money on Google ads. You've got to follow up, or you're just throwing money away. Don't assume I'll come back to you. You should call me 3 days later. Nick, just checking you got my email. Would you like any questions that I can help you with? Silence. Then you'll find out where they are in the buying process. And the final point there is, if you're told they're not instructing you because of price, that's 99, even 99.9% absolutely not the case. It's because you haven't had the meaningful conversation. You haven't sold the value of your service. That is what it's really about. If you just use price as an excuse, I know conveyancers that sell 50%, 100%, 1,000% more than their competition and convert very highly. It's never about price. It means you haven't done sadly, you haven't done your job. You haven't had a meaningful conversation. Conversion is such a big area, and the beauty of it, the reason I like to focus on it, is because if we get you better at converting, then you need less clicks, less inquiries to get to the increase in turnover you're looking for. If you're here and you want 10,000 more a month, and you work out that's 10 more cases, then you've got to convert 10 more cases. So if you can convert 20 inquiries into 10 cases, that's less money to spend on Google ads to make that happen. So we've done websites and conversions, and we're going to dive into Google ads shortly. First, I want to cover off the common mistakes which always cost you money, and which I've seen 9 times out of 10 before looking at a live campaign, which a solicitor has very kindly allowed me to look at and review with you, to show you some improvements that we can make there. So the key thing is that you've got to have enough clicks to get enough inquiries each month, because if you don't, then things will be hit and miss. So, for example, if you're getting 50 clicks a month, which is a nominal number of clicks, if your website converts at 2%, that's 1 inquiry per month, and that's not guaranteed. The website conversion rate. So, for every 100 visitors from your Google Ads campaign, maybe 2 of them get in touch. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 10. It varies from website to website. I've had websites converting at 20, 50%, but the universal rate branded around is 2%. So if you're only spending a bit of money, 200, 300 pounds, and you're only getting 20 to 50 clicks, it's going to be very hard to make that work consistently. On the flip side, if you scale that up, you spend more, yes, you'd say more risk, but there's more guarantee you're going to get results. So that's the biggest problem. Not enough clicks to make it work. And coupled with that, if you're not prepared to spend enough to get those clicks, again, that's not going to work. Google Ads purely is a numbers game. For my part, having done this, managed clients' accounts since I think 2008, run my own Google account since 2004. So having done that, I look for a minimum. I want 300 clicks a month. So work out what your average cost per click is, work out what the budget needed is, and you should at that level get consistent inquiries. And if you're not prepared to spend that much, but you should know what your return on investment will be, but because that's crucial. So I'll come on to return on investment and I'll come back to those numbers, but you've got to know your numbers. I mentioned before, if you're trying to increase turnover for one fee earner or one department by 10,000 a month, that's 10 cases, an average fee of £1,000. You need at least 10 inquiries, and that's if you have a 100% conversion rate, and no one has that. Let's say you're at the common 30%, 20%, 30%. To get those extra 10 cases, you're going to need 30, 40, 50 inquiries. So you need to know that, so you can then backward work maths. Okay, let's say we need 30 inquiries. Let's say that to get that, we're going to need 300 clicks because our site converts at 10%. Well, now you know your numbers. Now you know what 300 clicks is going to cost you. You keep on working on improving your website. You can make sure those numbers add up. So you get your 10 cases at £1,000 each case, an extra £10,000. But you have to know your starting point, because if you don't know how many files you're opening now before Google Ads, how are you going to know if it's working? And it never ceases to amaze me how many solicitors track their billing, but they don't track how many files they open each month. They don't know what those numbers month on month. You absolutely must know your numbers before you start, because what gets measured gets better. So know your starting point, and then when you start doing Google Ads, know that it's working and it's hitting the numbers that you're looking for. Just as a comment, someone once called me and they were using a well-known Google Ads agency. They've been spending 10,000 a month for 6 months on Google Ads, £60,000. I said, Nick, when should it start producing clients for us? 6 months ago. So once you know your numbers with Google Ads, the good thing is you're prepared to spend the money to get the results. It should happen instantly. Now, it won't be a perfect campaign in month one. You'll still want to make improvements to Google Ads, to your website, to your conversion. But by month 3, you should see more steady numbers. And then you never stop improving your Google Ads campaign or your website or your conversion process. But you have to know your starting point to see if it's working. ROI I've already touched on. You've got to make sure it pays you back. Otherwise, what's the point in doing it? So if you're spending 100 clicks, £4 each, £400 a month to get 4 sales of wills at £100 each, that's break even. Now, if you're selling off the back of that lasting powers of attorney, that could work. But if you're just selling very cheap wills, and you shouldn't do that, it's never about price. You can definitely justify a price of £200, £300, £400, £500 for a will if you do it correctly, if you have the meaningful conversation. But if that is your business, you're selling wills at £100 each, and you can only sell 4 a month, and you're not adding anything to that, like lasting power of attorney sales, then you wouldn't start doing a Google Ads campaign. But you have to work that out at the beginning of the campaign to make sure this is going to make you money. And then this is becoming more and more of an issue. And on the call today, I can't cover it in so much detail, but I just want to warn you about this. Google is trying to take complete control of the show. It doesn't work better. I've tested. But it works better for Google, but that's not necessarily the same thing for you. They will get more money spent, but you might not get the results you want. And the biggest way to tell if you're in this danger zone where Google is doing everything is if you see the word express in your URL when you're in your campaign, because it means you're not going to see any of the stuff I'm going to show you in a minute, because Google's just deciding what it's going to do. You won't see the keywords, you won't know what you're bidding on, you can't change your ads. It's hopeless, it's doomed to failure, hence the scared face. So there's your common errors. Let's dive on to the Google Ads live review, and this one is for a family law firm. And as I say, I just follow my process through here and get my clients to do the same on the optimization checklist. So set the date range for the last 30 days, which I've done up here, because then you can see where we're spending most of our money. And the first thing you want to do is say, are we spending enough? So our for so far, the last 30 days, if we were hitting our budget, that would be £600. So we're not spending £600. But some days we're probably going over, but Google works it out during the course of the month. So that's first thing to check. If you're hitting your budget, then you're missing out on clicks. So you want to make sure that doesn't happen. So what I'm going to do for maximum benefit here is just look at the first two over the course of this review. 36 clicks, click-through rate for this one is 3.46 as an average, £2.56 average cost per click. We've had 3 recorded conversions, which I'll come on into a minute. So I'm going to click on the first campaign of Charles. And then I'm going to go first off to the settings. And on here, it's a case of working through the settings and say what we're targeting here for networks is search network, which is Google, but also Google search partners. So these are people that use Google's search facility on their own site. Now, I would always say, and look, just cover display network, that's images. And I would say that ultimately, first, I'd get it working perfectly on just the search network. I'd uncheck that because that's the best traffic. That's someone heading to Google. Remember the buyer intent we're looking for, heading to Google, typing in family solicitor, child solicitor, finding your ad, clicking on it. If they're on the search network, they've gone to another site first, so they're already slightly distracted. They're now semi-interrupted. And if they're just seeing an image of a family solicitor and click on it, then they're really way out there. So I always say focus on that. If you can't spend any more money and it's working great, then maybe extend it to search partners. But I do that as a separate campaign. So that's the main comment there. Location-wise, this is interesting in that we're targeting Google My Business locations. That's fine. But if you look at the map, that doesn't show you on here where we are. It says we're excluding the United States, as we'd hope to. We should be targeting around our locations that it would normally show you. So I've checked the Google locations look fine, but what I would always do is actually target a radius of our office address, because then you'll be able to check that you're targeting the right place when you zoom in on your map and see exactly where you're targeting. So it might be office postcode, target 15 miles as a starting point, or 10 miles, because whatever people say about local, we are nationally, some people still love local solicitors. I've got a website called Solicitors Near Me that provides leads to marketing for solicitors members. For that reason, people type in Solicitors Near Me, find it, and want to get someone that's close to them. So location is important. Budget I've touched on, and then this is really important, the bidding strategy. So you can have maximize conversions, maximize clicks, cost of acquisition, you can set in there. My concern here, if you remember when I showed you the campaign, is that we've only got 3 conversions recorded. And I'll go on to why that might be in a moment, because there's reasons that might not be so high. And for Google to use its artificial intelligence to work on conversions, it needs to be recording absolutely everything possible. So what I'd be inclined to do in here is to run an experiment of maximize clicks. I won't go into details, but you go into drafts and experiments, copy this campaign, then create an experiment saying, run this on maximize clicks, try and get me as many clicks as you can for my budget. And then you test it for 30 days and you see which one wins. As with everything with Google, that is the beauty when you can test, you can see which one wins. And at the moment, with the conversions not all recording, you may well find that maximize clicks gets you more clicks and more inquiries, which I hope you're measuring, obviously. Finally, the one thing I will always change is rotate ads indefinitely. Do not optimize rotate ads indefinitely, because I want, as a marketer, I want to be in charge of seeing what the public says about which are your best ads, not Google deciding, because Google will very quickly pick a favorite performing ad and run off with that and not show the other ones. I'd prefer the public, the visitors to the site, to decide which is the best ad, which isn't. And then you can work on that, and I'll show you that now in a second. So I always prefer rotate indefinitely. So if we go back to our ad groups and we click on the one with the most clicks, which is child 1. And what we want to look at here is the keywords first. Custody of children is by far the biggest search impression. So that means how many times people type in a search around the topic custody of children. We've had 23 clicks. So that's mostly what's going on here, custody of children, custody of children. That's in our search keywords. That's what we're actually targeting. And the good thing here is there's no broad match. So if you see the word broad match, that's dangerous. They say recommended because they want to get more clicks where anyone types in children, they want to appear, anyone types in custody, but you'll get all sorts of wasted money there, wasted clicks. And then if you click on the search terms report, another area where Google's being a bit cheeky is hiding lots of your searches. So it won't show all of them, but it shows, so that there's 12, it hasn't bothered showing you what they clicked on. But it shows you again, child custody is the key thing here. Child custody is what's getting us the most clicks, 13 impressions, 1 click, 4 impressions. It's where the majority is. And the reason that's important, if you then look at 2 things, first add copy. I'm sorry, I should say, I know I'm doing this probably quickly, this is recorded. And more importantly, if some things are going in your mind, and I should do something about that, we can do this on a one-on-one call, and I'll tell you how at the end of this. And there's no charge for that. It's just part of what I do. So if you're thinking, I'm not quite sure what that was, it's recorded, you can watch it back. More importantly, I'll show you how I've cleared some space in my diary for you to get a one-on-one call with me, and we'll do this live together. So when we go into the ads, we've got 4 here. They're not rotating evenly, so of course some aren't getting much traffic or clicks at all because Google's deciding what to do. But 4 is probably too many. Google recommends 3. I've always preferred 2 so you get results quicker. And remember, if they're rotating indefinitely, the public are deciding which ad they like the most by clicking on it. And so that's shown in your click-through rate. So for every 100 times this ad is shown, on average 4.45 people will click on it. Whereas we've got another one here at 1.97 and it's already been shown 254 times. So I'd immediately pause that. It's not liked. But we've also got one runaway here from 13, which seems to be doing well, but it's a very small sample, so we can't really read much into that. We want to see 500, 1,000 impressions before we really know what's going on. But I'd take it 254 on a smaller campaign. I'd say that's enough. But if you look at the one that's working, if we look at this responsive ad, which Google's pushing us to move towards more. Now, bear in mind what I showed you. Child custody is the key thing. So in here, this is just a display URL, comes up here. I would make sure that said in capitals, leading capitals, children custody solicitors, if we can fit it in. If not, children custody. Custody of children was a big search term. And then more importantly, these ones should be pinned as first position because Google is in the ad was showing remote meeting options. Again, COVID related, can be there, not so important, but you can pin that to position 1 and say only show this in position 1. Google says don't do that, we'll take care of this, but I know from pinning that you'll get better results because with Google Ads it's all got to add up. I've got to type in child custody, solicitors, child custody. I want to see an ad all about child custody and I'll click through to a page that's all about child custody. So yeah, with that, it's worth pinning and it's worth making sure child custody is repeating again in here. And so now we know what this ad group's all about. It's all about child custody. Let's have a look at the landing page because we want to make sure it's all about child custody. So if we click through here, there's no mention of the word custody at the top. So that's really important. We need that word custody out there because that's what the person's looking for. So we want that journey to be complete. Child custody search, child custody ad, child custody website. I'm in the right place. And that makes a dramatic difference. Now, if you're targeting lots of child-related keywords on the same page, then make sure the biggest one, in this case, child custody, is at the top. And then very quickly have a list of bullet points of the other core search terms so that people that aren't seeing child custody, I'm not sure if that's right. Oh, okay, it's that as well. That's what I'm looking for. And then back to the website review I've covered earlier. What's good is we have got a call to action. We haven't said it's free. We can make a free inquiry. Free inquiry doesn't mean free advice. It's literally explaining, just seeing what you need, explaining how we can help you and why we're the best people for that, then setting out how we can do that. But we're pushing telephone number and email. I would say push telephone number and inquiry form because when that inquiry form is completed, there's one right down the bottom here, and we want it on a separate page as well. It tracks a conversion in Google AdWords, and as I said, if we can track conversions in Google Ads, Google's automated bidding will work better. But at the moment, I can see why we're only tracking a few conversions because we're not making a lot about this inquiry form when we need to, because I want someone to click child custody, click on our ad, land on the page, child custody, all about that, make a free inquiry, bang, fill it in, off we go. Same thing as I said about Amy's site earlier. Sew in reviews after call to actions. Get some people images on the page. Who am I dealing with here? Let's see you. And let's add call to actions. If we've got a long page, love long copy, nothing wrong with the amount of content on this page at all. But just break it up with more images and with client reviews and with more calls to action. And then again, the same thing at the bottom, we've got to make that talking call to action. So the subheading would be make an inquiry or make a free inquiry if you're happy to put that. To find out about any of our children custody services or our child custody services, please call us on this number or complete a free online inquiry, linking to that inquiry page, and away you go. These boxes, I'm not a fan of because it makes the user work harder. Website designers love them because they say, well, no one's going to read that much content. Based on what website designer, because I know people will read all of that content if they are a detailed person. If you take away making it easy for them, then it makes it harder. So give me an ugly website with loads of content any day, because I can tell you from testing that I know that that will work better. Come back to the top of the page just to say, same point I made, Southgate Solicitors. So I know I'm in the right place with solicitors. Can we say specialist family law firm? We probably can, because it looks like we've got some other side services, but mainly we're all about family. So let's tell people, because that will help, because people don't want generalists, they want specialists. So that'd be worthwhile. And then these other points, if we're going to make them, maybe we should link to a page that explains what they mean more. But yeah, client reviews, calls to action, and breaking up the content with some images are vital there. So checks time, looks at search term report, landing pages, and the next thing is to have a look at ads and extensions. Then I want to look at the grandparents one after, and we'll be finishing before 2. I'll make sure you get back before then, and I'll tell you how to book your review. But so your extensions are extra parts of your ad. Site links are the biggest ones, because these actually, as they say, link to another page on your site. So they give you 4 more blocks to sell your ad. And the thing I'd say about here, I've come into all campaigns. Let me go back to child. Ads and extensions, and then click on extensions. Let's go back to site link. So with child custody again, none of these mention custody in them, which would be worth doing. And there's only 3. We can have 4 of these running. Should have at least 5, so you can test them. And then once you've served them for a while, bin the worst performer and add a new one. So there could be all sorts of other, we could go send them to see what our child custody reviews say, send them to a reviews page all about child custody. So definitely worth putting some more site link extensions in there to get better results, better click-through rates. Call out are just lines of copy, extra things to say. Again, there's only 4, add another couple to test, see which ones get the best results, and then pause the ones that aren't working so well. And then telephone extensions are there as well. I just want to dive into the grandparents one, because what's great about this one is look at the click-through rate. There's 21% there because it's so specific. And let me show you why. If we go into grandparents' rights, look at the keywords we're targeting here, just grandparents' rights. Modified broad match are going to be wiped out at some point, but phrase match in the quotes there has basically become modified broad match. So if you want the most, do as they've done here, put in as exact match and phrase match, and you'll get everything. And if we look at the search term report, you'll see it's all about grandparents' rights, because we've been very specific with our keywords. So in the child custody one, the child custody keywords should stay in that ad group, but anything that is not child custody related should go off into a separate ad group where the ad copy can be changed, and the landing page can be changed to reflect what people are looking for. Now in this one, we've got all our ducks in a row. So if I go to ads and extensions, it's all about grandparents' rights, great click-through rates. We're running 3 better. That one's only had 6 impressions, changed to rotate indefinitely in these settings to get more. But we've got great click-through rates here. And look, the reason being, the point I made to you earlier, grandparents' legal rights is in every ad copy. And that's exactly what people are searching for. So we're giving them, that's the beauty of the simplicity of Google Ads, and yet it's not simple. But it is give people what they're looking for, and you will get great results. So here we've said, we don't want people looking for grandparents' rights, giving them an ad that says grandparents' rights. Let's look at the landing page. Click on that. Here we go. Grandparents' advice. So let's give them what they've looked for in the first 2 cases. Let's match up our ducks, line up our ducks in a row. Grandparents' rights. What are grandparents' legal rights? Let's talk about their legal rights and what are grandparents' rights. And got the call to action, again, linked to that inquiry form, a review ideally from a grandparent saying, what a great job you did. And then the same comments again, give me that call to action at the bottom of every page, open up these FAQs. The inquiry form does work, but have that inquiry form on a separate page, not with the blue background, because it breaks my readership path. Keep it the same as this. Click here to make a free inquiry. Away we go. I think those are all the points I wanted to cover, but I love those click-through rates. But hopefully that inside this campaign, which Hassan was very kind to share with me and with you, you can see what a difference it can make when you get it right. When you get your grandparents' rights all lined up, everything's perfect, the click-through rate is dramatically different. And that matters because it means you spend less for a click. You can see the clicks are £1 there, £1 a click as opposed to an average of 3. A lot of that will be due to the fact that Google is saying, wow, this is perfect. The client loves this. They're spending time on that page. They're clicking on the ads more, and they're liking it. They give you a better quality score, which means that you can rise above the competition by spending less. When you do it all right, that is what happens. And we'll come to questions soon, but that's one of the things that I love about this case study, which basically makes that point. The same results that Hassan's getting there with that campaign. One of my clients was in the sector of personal injury, did so well he sold his law firm, which I was very happy for him for. Missed him as a client, of course, but I'd achieved my objective. And when he came to me, he was buying in leads from other providers. He was buying in accident claims. He said they had someone working on the campaign, but they weren't getting the results that he wanted. Thankfully, he came across my book and decided to come and see me. I remember it was many years ago, and I worked with him some years after, but I remember that first meeting with him. And he said, don't know how you can do it, but I want you to get us good results, I want you to get us above the big boys. And there's some big personal injury players with huge budgets. So I started on the website and worked on Google Ads. And the reason I'm sharing this case study is because it just shows you what I've shown you just now, but in practice, and to show you that it works. Because as Peter said, it was very challenging in that sector. There's some very big players in the personal injury market spending a fortune. And he didn't know if I could make it work. He didn't tell me at the start. But I was confident I could make it work, and I love a challenge. And it did. But this is the key thing. He went from buying in work to not buying in any work. 500 inquiries a month, 150 clients every single month, all from his online efforts. Most importantly, because Peter made the changes I recommended, we got all our ducks in a row. Someone went looking for a work accident solicitor. They found a work accident ad. They found a work accident landing page. We told them on that landing page how to get in touch with us. We sewed in lots of reviews about the brilliant work accident service that we provided. And I worked one-on-one with his conversion team, because he had a team of 3 or 4, to make them have the meaningful conversation, to understand what matters to the client the most, which isn't always about money and personal injury. It might be getting back to work. It might be getting back to work to pay the bills. It might be getting back to a sport they love. But I train them how to have that meaningful conversation. It's about the whole thing. And that's the point I'm trying to make to you about Google Ads, which is why I'm always staggered when someone comes to me and the people they've been working with haven't spoken about the website landing pages, haven't touched on conversion, haven't really seemed to worry about any of that stuff. And yet, as I've just shown you, when you get grandparents' rights in the ad on the website, and you make it easy for your clients to get in touch with you, it makes the biggest difference. And I just said worked on client conversion. So I know that obviously there was a lot to get through there. I'm through before 2. I will take any questions. Christo will nudge me if you've got any. But the easiest thing to say is that that all of those parts of that process matter. If you're running Google Ads, you need to make sure your website is on point, your conversion process is working as it should do, and you only know that if you measure it, and your Google Ads is working as well as it can do. And you do that by improving your ad copy, your keyword, your smaller ad groups with very targeted child custody ad in a small ad group, and then anything that's not that, move it into its own ad group, then match the copy to that search. But you don't have to worry about doing that all yourself. If you'd like me to do that with you on a one-on-one, I'd be happy to do so. That's where you need to go to samsungconsulting.co.uk/review. And on that page, this is what you'll see. Nothing too scary, not that. that one. You'll see my diary, and these dates are all new. I've thrown these in yesterday, and someone's already sneakily grabbed one. Well done, Helen. But yeah, I put in extra dates for just the people on this call to go in and book in. So if you want a Google Ads review, go to that review page up there, and you can book in with me, and we'll do this one-on-one. I'll tell you what we need to do to get started, and I'll just go through your campaign and say, right, I tweak this, I do this, I put that there, and that's what you need to do to get the better results. Now, I'm always nervous at this point because I've minimized people so I can just focus on the presentation. And when I open it up, is anyone still here? Thankfully, there are. So thanks. Thanks for staying online. I appreciate that. So yeah, if you have any specific questions or anything that I rushed through, you'd like me to give you some more info on, then now is your time to fire away. I'm going to stop the share and see if anyone's... you can either put it in chat, or you can put your hand up, or you can just unmute yourself and start talking. Or if you're happy, we can end there. Give me a smile. So Ben looks happy. Hi, Ben. Glad you look happy. Anyone else happy? Fred, you got a smile for me? He's happy. Good. Okay, Helen, I'll be talking to you tomorrow. James, excellent. Anthony, long time no see. Google Ads. We've talked about this a few times, haven't we? Are we going? We going? Good. Okay. Any questions before we go? Goodbye there. Okay. Good. Well, this will be recorded. I will send out an email. I'll send you a link to book your own review if you'd like one. Thank you all for your time today. Have a lovely afternoon, and see you all soon. Bye-bye.